Hey guys, so most people watching this will probably not know the difference, but I am not in my car today. I'm in Matt's car. My car went explodey yesterday morning, and this was interesting, and it gets to the topic of the video, it gets to the point of the video eventually, but I was at the gym in the parking lot making the video towards all the short men out there, and my IMA light came on, which is like part of a hybrid system. I have a hybrid because the car I wanted was a hybrid, not because I wanted a hybrid. But so that thing went off. Then I called the dealership, made an appointment. They were like, it's not an emergency. Went in to do my workout. And when I came out, I drove to Panera. I was in the Panera parking lot, and then the check charging system light came on. And so I called the dealership again, and they were like, okay, don't even turn the car off, just drive straight here because it might not start again if you turn it off. So I'm in Matt's car today, and I found a bunch of things about this car thing interesting. So my initial assumption, just to prove that this is not what Neville meant by assumptions hardened into fact. That's not what he meant. He meant things that you take on will become you eventually if persisted in. My initial assumption, what I guessed without having the information, was that my hybrid was going to need a new, very expensive battery. Like, I think they're like $7,000 or $8,000 or something, because there was some concern about that when I bought this car. I remember when I bought an earlier year of the car I currently drive. I remember my dad and my ex were talking about it, and my ex was very concerned because there was the possibility of a very expensive battery replacement coming at around the 10-year mark. My car's a 2015, so I just assumed, I was like, well, that's probably what it is. And for some reason, like, this just did not bother me at all. The idea of, I have plenty of money to cover this, so of course it would be much easier for me to feel this way probably than the average person for whom an $8,000 expense would be devastating or life-altering in some way. But I'm not so far past the point in my life where that was the case that I don't still kind of have that reaction to things like that. And I just did not bat an eye at this, like, at all. The whole day yesterday, or not having a car, which is so bizarre. I was remarking to Matt that this is the first time, literally the first time that I can remember that, there may have been another one, but since I was like 16 and 2 months when I got my first car, this is the first time I can remember not having a car. And I was like, I'm not going to go rent one. I don't, whatever. I'll just have Matt and my ex drive me around. So I don't know why. I don't know why none of this bothered me. It just didn't bother me. None of it bothered me. And so I was talking to both of them all day yesterday about this. Not all day, but throughout the day, we were talking about this, and, Matt was like, both of them were like, you should just get a new car. If this needs an $8,000 repair. And I was like, what am I going to throw away, like a car with 45,000 miles on it that I love and that is the car I want, that they don't make anymore because it needs an $8,000 repair? And I'm just going to make the repair and whatever, get on with my life and get my car back tomorrow or whatever. But this was just my attitude. It was noticeable that it was not bothering me, because plenty of small things in my life bother me, and this large thing wasn't. So that was strange. I've been thinking about that, and honestly, what I attribute that to is the offloading of a whole bunch of negatively charged thought patterns in July. As anybody who's watching this now, but if anybody watches this in the future, I can know what the hell I'm talking about. During the whole month of July, I just prioritized staying in the highest possible creative state. And what that led me to was coming up with some new ways of dealing with the dips that happen in energy and vibration and all that stuff, moods, essentially. Some new techniques for dealing with reactions to things. And I honestly think that has to be what this is. I can't believe my own reaction to this. Like, I want to say, I don't know, at some point in the recent past, I accidentally deleted a Panera gift card from my Panera app that had like $24 on it. And my reaction to that, like inside, was so much worse than my reaction to this, what I honestly thought was going to be an $8,000 expense. That's what was blowing my mind. I was like, man, I just got upset about $27 not that long ago. And here I am. But so, this is leading me into the topic of this video, which is the way that I manifest things that, I don't think most people are going to want to do this. I don't know anybody that does this but me. I've never known anyone that does this but me. Anytime I hear somebody else that can be like, oh, who's like, I can relate to that, I'm just like, soul sisters or whatever. I take on the energy of the thing that I'm trying to become by talking to myself constantly. I have done this since I was a little kid, honestly. It's not something that I've developed. It's not a technique that I read about and then started doing. This is something that I do naturally. I talk to myself all the time. I'm always having a conversation out loud, just almost all the time. It's why it's so easy for me to make this channel talking to a phone. I talk to myself constantly. And anytime there's an issue with somebody, like if I'm having an argument with somebody, I've already had that argument 40 times out loud by myself. It's in its most refined state by the time it's happening. I've already gotten out all the negativity. I've already thought about it a million different ways. I've already said a whole bunch of different things and seen how I felt about what I was saying. And that is how I am able to communicate effectively with the people in my life. There's no, I don't regret what I say to people very often because it's already been heavily hashed out all by myself. Now, I don't know if I would recommend that. And there are going to be a lot of people here, like specifically in one of Neville Goddard's books, he talks about like if you're arguing with somebody in your mind, you're going to find yourself arguing with them for real. I have not found that to be the case for myself. But that could be just because of how I look at this. I look at this as a tool for working things out. I've been busted talking to myself so many times by so many people. It's really embarrassing. I don't think Matt has ever busted me so far. But anyway, in terms of manifestation, here's why this matters. And this ties back to the car thing yesterday. What I've naturally done is anytime there's something that I want, or something I want to be, or something I want to change, I automatically envision future situations where that is the case. And I just kind of automatically converse in some way or another out loud from that vantage point. I do this all the time. I've always done this. I'll like, for example, I'll just give you like a generic example. Because how would you use this, if you're trying to get something and you're not somebody that sits around talking to yourself? Like an example would be when I was broke 10 years ago. This is for you if you're in this state. I would think about something that happens regularly. Like, for example, my mom buying me something. My elderly mother, trying to pay for something. Or, throughout my 20s and a little bit of my 30s, she would like let me use a credit card of hers or something and charge something on there and pay it off over time if I needed to for like a business venture I was doing. Or like she bought me furniture. She got credit for furniture one time for me when I moved into an apartment, and I paid that off over like 5 years. And so she was always doing stuff like that for me. So back then I would imagine, I'm sure, future situations where that was no longer needed, and say she would try to offer, and I would just say, thanks, Mom, but I really don't, you're forgetting that I'm no longer in that place. You're forgetting that I'm well outside of the point where I need your help. And the way that actually plays out in real life, now that I am a multimillionaire, how that actually plays out now is she still tries to pay for stuff, or, I'll buy her something, that costs $100 or something like that, and she'll try to pay me back, and I'll just be like, Mom, my reaction to that now is just like, it's okay, really. I don't need that $100. Thanks. It's okay. This was like going to the store and buying toilet paper for me now, because it is. I mean, she doesn't do that every week. I guess if she wanted me to buy her stuff that costs stuff all the time, I'd, let her pay me back so that she would feel better. But I don't ever need the amounts of money that, my mom tries to pay me back or give me or whatever at this point. Like, Christmas is a total charade. I buy everything I want for myself. I can't think of anything at Christmas for her to buy me. Her giving me money is ludicrous. So seriously, in September every year, I just stop buying stuff that I want, and I put it on a wish list, and then I just have to wait for 3 months to get it so that she has stuff to buy me for Christmas. I mean, that's where I'm at now compared to where I was before. And so I used to always look at it that way. I would imagine this future state that is now fully realized and speak from it. This just, I didn't have to force this to happen. This was natural for me. So for a lot of people, this would fall under like technique territory. But this works because you in the first person right now in this moment are being that person, even if it's imaginary. And you just drop in a little bit of intention and a little bit of certainty, and you will glide right there. You will glide right there. I've had this experience many times now. It works. I mean, I don't know all of these techniques. I don't know what else you would do. All of these techniques are to get you to be that person. That's the whole point of doing them. It's not, I think people look at a lot of this stuff as there's some magical thing that happens if you like imagine an image, then some magical subconscious mind that you don't understand is then, going to paint that picture, and that may be some element of this, but that is not the meat of it. The meat of it is nothing and no one to change but self, becoming something else, becoming the person that you want to be. And when you're alone in the privacy of your car, that's where most of this happens for me. There's nobody else in here. Thankfully now these days, if you're sitting there talking to yourself in your car, people just think you're talking on the phone. That was the best day of my life when that became just ubiquitous. People, in like 2011 and 12 still, if people saw you talking in your car, they knew you were talking to yourself. It was embarrassing. There was one time where some lady was watching me and I saw her and I had to like leave where I was and go drive around for a while because I was so embarrassed. But this is something that works. It's something that is very natural to me to do. And so I can tell you firsthand, this is how I become someone else. If I want to be something else, I try it on and I be it. And for me, I'm so verbose that it always involves speaking. And it involves speaking as myself, not, money comes to me freely and easily. Who the hell says that? Like, you don't say that about your money situation. You say, my money situation fucking sucks. This sucks. I hate that I can't pay my bills. I'm miserable. Whatever it is that you say in your language and with your vocal dialect and tone and all that stuff. So what would you say if you were actually in a different situation? Who would you say it to? Would you, are you somebody who's kind of boastful and braggy? Be boastful and braggy about it. Whatever it is you would do. If you're somebody who's very humble and shy, then, what would you actually say? If you're broke right now and you transitioned into being somebody with a completely different mentality about money, who legitimately had plenty of money, maybe not like you won the lottery and you're living in, a mansion. Let's just say you're still living in the same general area that you're living in now, in the same sort of type of housing, but maybe a little better, and you have plenty of money to support this situation. And now your elderly mother or grandmother or one of your kids or your brother, whoever, you're kind of in this together with now. What would you be saying to that person if they came to you for money, or if they offered to help you out because they hadn't fully caught on yet that you're in a different place? How would you react? Would you say, listen, Mom, thank you so much for worrying about me, but truly, I have plenty, I have enough. I don't need your help in this way anymore. In fact, you know, what do you need? I want to start helping you. Like, start saying, have this conversation out loud. It changes how you feel. It changes your perspective. It really does something. So that was a very animated way of saying this. But I wanted to also say that, you know, yesterday all day long, I discussed with two different people. I had multiple conversations discussing this large repair that my car was going to need. That did not cause the car repair to have to happen. They called me last night at like late and said, oh, hey, this is the most ridiculous thing ever, by the way. And I don't know if this is even true, because this, you know, I was just like, she's telling me this. They told me that one of my intake fans that I guess cools the battery or something, I don't know. One of the intake fans burned out. And they told me it burned out because some aspect of the intake is in my trunk, and there was a quilt and several plastic bags covering this thing. Now, who puts an intake for a vital part of the cooling system or whatever, the battery system, the charging system, who puts an intake for that in the trunk where people keep things that could block it and burn it out? Anyway, that's what happened. It ended up being an $800 repair, which after thinking $8,000 all day seemed amazing. And I truly don't give a shit about $800 at all. I realized yesterday I really don't give a shit about $8,000. That's pretty cool. That's definitely a shift. That's definitely a natural byproduct of my income doubling this year. It has continued. I made videos about that earlier this year, that I took a break from making videos on this channel and from being on any kind of social media platform, and out of nowhere, this huge wave of forward motion with my business happened. My business that was, I was already a multimillionaire. I was already, I already had a mid 6 figures income. That has doubled now. And that has remained that way. That was not a fluke. I was talking about that only about a month after things sort of took off, and it has continued. It's pretty crazy. Everything in the business area of my life has improved dramatically this year, and it was probably the thing that was doing the best in the first place. I love that. Always, like, keep the thing in your life that you're the best at, always keep making that better and better and better, because it's like the rising tide lifts all boats, lifts all ships, whatever the saying is. You know, it's really hard to just be excelling incredibly in one area of life without everything else kind of improving a little bit. It helps to be doing really well somewhere, even if it's not the area that you would like to be doing really well in. But so talking about that yesterday did not create it happening. And I was thinking about that, and what really stands out to me was just the good feeling that I had all day yesterday. You know, I'll never know what would have happened if, when I saw these lights come on, my heart sank and I got angry and upset about the fact that I wasn't going to have a car for the next day, even, or the rest of the day. You know, what if I had had a different attitude? What if I had felt differently? And I have to tell you, I didn't put any effort into this, so I'm not patting myself on the back here. It was effortless. I just felt fine about the whole thing, every aspect of it. Not having a car for a few days, which normally would be like a fight or flight thing for me. I just have to have a car with me all the time. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why this was so easy, but I have to wonder, you know, there's proof that just having conversations, just thinking about something that's happening, you know, you don't have to monitor your thoughts that closely. What you do need to be aware of, and this has been made abundantly clear experientially through me intentionally doing these things over the last couple of months, between the Emmett Fox mental diet and this month-long thing where I prioritized my mood, really, my feeling, the overall feeling that I had, what vibration, you know, where am I on the vibration level here? That's what you need to monitor. That is really important, both to your experience, obviously, like how you're feeling. It's better to be feeling good than bad most of the time. You know, but it also seems to really change the outer events that are happening. And of course, we've all heard this a million times. This isn't news to me. But I'm just telling you, most people are just absorbing this content without doing anything. So I'm letting you know, hey, I just went and did this. It really seems to have an outer effect that is noticeable. And that lasts, it's 3 weeks since I stopped doing that. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not like, if I dip out a little bit with something, I'm not like, oh, I'm going to go lay down and meditate, or oh, I'm going to go sit quietly and like, absorb all the negative energy. I'm not doing any of that intentionally anymore. And it's definitely had a residual effect that I'm pretty sure saved me about $7,200 yesterday. And it got me to be able to drive Matt's car. Matt, this is the first time I've ever driven Matt's car. Matt is very protective about his car. It is his baby. He was like, are you sure you can drive it? I parked it so that you won't, there's like a wall outside of our house. It's part of the design of our house. And he's like, I parked it so you won't hit the wall. I was like, Matt, I think I can drive a Toyota RAV4. Really, I think I can do it. I think I can drive a mini SUV. I've done it before. Really, I think it's okay. I can do it. I can do it. I used to drive a Ford Explorer, so I don't know what. Anyway, that's it. I just wanted to talk about that technique. Speaking things out loud is conversations where you are actually sort of like embodying your future self and interacting with another person. Those are incredibly powerful. You are being that person. You are practicing being that person and what that feels like. And that is just like, that is vital. That is at the heart of all of this. It's becoming someone else. It's becoming the person that has the thing you want, that is the thing you are. If you become somebody who has something that you don't have right now, if you don't change into whatever version of yourself has that thing naturally, like Neville Goddard says, it will be gone. It's just the way it works in this hologram. It's just the way it works. So try it on. Become a nut like me. Start talking to yourself in the car. I mean, if you have a car and any time that you're alone in it, that is practice time for all this stuff. And for me, for working things out, if I'm upset about something, just, getting some of that like angst out. And sometimes you hear yourself say stuff and you go, oh, that's not right. Like that's, or you hear yourself, in like an argument with someone, like if you're expressing yourself to somebody verbally and you don't want to actually have that conversation with them yet, if you do that, you can hear yourself say things and it really like makes you stop and say, wow, that's what I think about this, or that's how I really feel about this. And then it shifts the way you're looking at things. It's really valuable. And it's really helpful if you just do this naturally and you're kind of compelled to do it. Because I could see if you're not the type of person that does this, I don't know, this could be weird, but this is my secret weapon. It really is. This is why I'm so successful at everything. And the other thing I've noticed is if I think I want something, like, sorry, this is going on and on, but if I think I want something, like earlier this year when this channel hit 10,000 subscribers, I felt a bunch of stuff that I was translating as, I want to move in a different direction. I want something from this number. And I didn't know what it was. I made a bunch of videos about like why I'm kind of resistant to the idea of the channel growing or doing anything else here. What that turned out to be for me was, or what it appears to have turned out to be for me now, was that I was really just kind of ready to move into a different phase of my life where I'm spending more time doing the things that I feel passionately about. And how that ended up playing out was I ended up delegating a whole bunch of the work I was still doing at my business to somebody else. So I'm like almost totally free now to do whatever I want. And once that had happened and sort of I'd gotten used to it, because that was July 3rd that happened. It's now August 22nd or something. So once I'd had a few weeks of that, I noticed that my interest or, anything having to do with this channel growing was gone. That wasn't what it was. That was just, I don't know why that triggered that, but it did. It awakened me to the understanding that it was time to move on and do something else from what I've been doing at my business. So that's how that played out. I just haven't had any desire for anything having to do with like growing the channel. And what I was going to say is that there is almost no time where I sit around in the car talking about how I have so many subscribers, or talking about, that is not a real desire for me. If it were, that would be coming out. I'd be having conversations with somebody, like I'd be at lunch, when I first started this channel, Veronica Isles gave me a shout on her channel, which got me like 500 subscribers, I think, pretty fast. And we made some plans to like go to lunch together, and it was in the COVID, and it just never really happened. We haven't talked in a while now. Maybe we'll still get together and do that. But if I was really interested in having a bigger channel, I'd probably imagine myself, like talking to Veronica about our huge subscriber bases, or I'd be having conversations with somebody that I would actually like to be having in the future. And those are just not happening about this channel. Like nothing, I'm not having any kind of natural conversations from a future vantage point about that. And that kind of tells me what I need to know about it. It kind of tells me where I'm at with it. It's not a real big desire. It's not something that I'm going to naturally want to start acting on. And I know a lot of people like to try to force manifestations to happen. I just don't think that's a good idea. I think you have a guidance system going on that is just spot on, and you don't need to mess with it in terms of trying to force things to happen. The things that you want and that you're ready for and that you are in a place to manifest right now, those are going to feel really good. The feeling is the secret. Neville Goddard. Esther Hicks, constantly. This is all about how you feel. It's all about how you feel about things. And the feeling of, it being right is a very peaceful, kind of happy, calm, just very open feeling. And when you feel that about something and you have an intention and you desire it enough, it'll just happen. You don't have to, you don't have to put forth a lot of effort to get the things you want. Even if you're doing a whole bunch of stuff, it will feel effortless. And you may very well be doing a whole bunch of stuff. Trust me on that one. I have done a whole bunch of stuff for almost everything that I've gotten, with the exception of manifesting my fiance, for which I did absolutely nothing. I did not lift a finger. But business, my body, everything else, those have always been very active things, but just effortless, just no obstacles in the way, no feelings of resistance, a feeling of exhilaration, feeling of inspired, happiness, inspired excitement. Anyway, I hope that helped somebody. Have a great day.